James Gunn just dropped a bombshell, and it might be the biggest Superman update yet. Man of Tomorrow, the highly anticipated, not direct sequel, has finally given us a glimpse into its true direction. And the tease? Brainiac. Yes, the classic Superman villain, the collector of worlds, the destroyer of civilizations, the genius artificial lifeform obsessed with cataloging everything and everyone, looks set to make his terrifying arrival in the DCU. Now, Gunn didn't come out and just flat out say Brainiac is the villain. That would be too easy. Instead, he gave us hints. And in true James Gunn fashion, he leaves breadcrumbs for the fans to put the puzzle together. One of those breadcrumbs? Concept art that literally includes a diagram of a brain. Subtle? Maybe, but come on. In a Superman movie, in this context, who else could it possibly be? This isn't Brainstorm. This isn't Psycho-Pirate. The writing's on the wall. The villain is Brainiac. And if that's true, this changes everything.
Because here's the thing, Gunn has also confirmed that Man of Tomorrow isn't just a Superman versus villain story. This isn't a repeat of Zod. It's not a Lex Luthor power grab. This is a movie about alliances, about survival, about what happens when enemies are forced to work together against something even bigger. Gunn said it himself. It's as much a Lex Luthor movie as it is a Superman movie. And if you think about it, that's genius. We're not just watching Superman soar above Metropolis. We're about to see Clark Kent and Lex Luthor standing shoulder to shoulder, at least temporarily, against a universal threat. Imagine that dynamic. Superman, the symbol of hope, teaming up with the man who embodies distrust, greed, and paranoia. And Gunn even admitted he relates to Lex as a character, which tells us he's writing Luthor as more than just a mustache-twirling villain. But here's where it gets really interesting. What if that team-up isn't just for show? What if this is the very thing that launches Lex into becoming the political powerhouse we know him to be? Because mark my words, President Lex Luthor is coming to the DCU. And this movie could be the first domino.
And if they don't, they will find that they are not as far above the law as they think.
So let's map this out. Superman and Lex forced together. The threat? Brainiac. And not just any Brainiac, but one that feels like he's ripped right out of the best Superman stories in comics. One of the inspirations Gunn might be drawing from is Superman Brainiac by Geoff Johns. If you've read it, you know it's a masterpiece. It's the story that really fleshes out the horrors of Brainiac's obsession. This is the arc where we get the bottle city of Kandor, a Kryptonian city miniaturized and stolen by Brainiac. It's the story that forces Superman to confront not just an enemy, but his Kryptonian heritage on a deeper level than ever before. Now, think back to the Superman movie. Gunn already planted seeds about Clark's Kryptonian legacy, about his parents, about what his existence means. Man of Tomorrow is the natural place to expand that, and what better way than Brainiac literally showing up with Krypton's history in a bottle? And with the Supergirl movie on the way, this could be the perfect way to weave her story into this universe, by tying it directly to Brainiac. Maybe Kara was affected by his obsession with Krypton. Maybe she has a score to settle. But that's not the only story Gunn seems to be pulling from, because if you zoom out, if you look at the roster of characters confirmed and teased for this film, this isn't just Superman Brainiac. This is Panic in the Sky. For those who don't know, Panic in the Sky is one of the biggest Superman-led crossovers in DC history. The premise? Brainiac invades Earth using Warworld, a massive, planet-destroying weapon. And Superman? He doesn't face it alone. He assembles an army of heroes, from the Justice League to allies across the DC universe, to push back the invasion. Now, if you line that up with what Gunn has teased for Man of Tomorrow, it fits almost too perfectly. We know this movie is an ensemble. We know members of the Justice Gang will reprise their roles, and we think Green Lantern John Stewart will be in the mix. This is already looking like the blueprint of a Justice League light story, all centered around Superman and Lex. And here's the million-dollar question. Where does Batman fit into this? Because I don't care how grounded he is, how street-level his world might be, if Brainiac is invading Earth, Batman isn't sitting this one out. David Corenswet himself implied that Superman and Batman are already friends in this DCU. Gunn echoed that sentiment, so the foundation is there. Even if Batman's role isn't massive, it makes perfect sense for him to show up in some capacity. Maybe like Mr. Terrific in the Superman movie, not stealing the spotlight, but present. Observing Lex's heroics, quietly taking notes, already suspicious of Luthor's true motives. And imagine what that sets up down the line. A Superman-Batman alliance, forged here in the fire of Brainiac's invasion, later tested when Lex becomes president. You can already see the seeds of World's Finest taking shape.
So here's what I want to slow down and ask you guys. Do you actually want Batman in this film? Or do you think it should stay purely Superman-focused, keeping the spotlight on Clark and Lex? But let's pivot back to Brainiac, because if he's bringing Warworld into the picture, this doesn't just set up panic in the sky. It also sets up another villain, Mongol. See, in the comics, Brainiac doesn't originally own Warworld. Mongol does. And through manipulation, through sheer force of will, Brainiac takes control of it. If Gunn adapts even a slice of that, suddenly you've got another long-term threat established. Mongol might not be the villain of Man of Tomorrow, but he could easily become the antagonist of a direct Superman sequel, or even part of a bigger DCU storyline later down the line. Think about the long game here. Brainiac introduces the concept of bottled cities, of Krypton's lingering legacy. That threads directly into Supergirl. Warworld teases Mongol. Lex uses his heroics to set up a political rise, and in the background, Batman's watching, Superman's inspiring, the Justice League is slowly forming. This isn't just a sequel. This is the blueprint of the DCU finally starting to feel alive.
And it's not just about the villains or the cameos, it's about Superman himself. Because here's the real challenge Gunn faces. How do you make Superman interesting in 2025 and beyond? How do you give us a story where the audience doesn't just see a perfect man beating up a bad guy, but actually feels the weight of his choices? That's where Lex comes in. Picture this. Clark has to decide whether to trust Lex, knowing full well Lex is using this battle for his own gain. He has to lead an army of heroes against Brainiac, even while dealing with the fact that this villain holds the last remnants of his people. And he has to inspire the world, prove that humanity and Kryptonians can stand side by side, even in the face of annihilation. That's not just action. That's character. That's storytelling. And honestly, it's the perfect setup for what's coming next. Because if Man of Tomorrow ends with Superman victorious, Brainiac defeated but not destroyed, Lex hailed as a savior, and Batman left side-eyeing Lex's every move, tell me that doesn't perfectly set the stage for not just a Superman sequel, but for the entire Justice League.
Your Superman has abandoned you!
So here's the big question for you guys. Do you want Man of Tomorrow to lean more into Panic in the Sky, a giant ensemble war against Brainiac? Or would you rather see a more intimate adaptation of Geoff Johns' Brainiac, focused on Superman's heritage, the bottle city of Kandor, and his relationship with Kara? Because I think Gunn's going to do both. He'll fuse them. Give us the emotional core of Superman versus Brainiac, while also delivering the large-scale spectacle of an Earth invasion. And if he pulls it off, this could be the movie that not only defines Superman in the DCU, but also finally sets the stage for the Justice League we've all been waiting for. That's the saga. And now it's your turn. Do you buy into the Brainiac theory? Do you think Batman's showing up? And who else from the DCU do you want to see answer Superman's call when Brainiac arrives? Drop your theories in the comments. Let's talk about it. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.